And some of these women know their purpose, and some women there, I think, are still figuring that out. But hearing that from people that it inspired them, it landed with them like in their heart. They felt like, okay, I need to do more of what brings me joy, because when we're in our joy, it's contagious.
Hello, everyone. Dionne Woods here, owner and artist of the Turquoise Iris, and of course, your host today for Paint Talks podcast. You can see that I have a guest with me, Karen Berg, which we will introduce her here in just a minute. But because this is the very first time that I am publishing my podcast on my YouTube channel, I want to say hello. I'm here and I'm planning on loading a new YouTube video for our podcast every other week here. So this is exciting. This is kind of a 3.5 years later. Did you know you could do this? And so thanks to YouTube for offering this up for us. But Paint Talks podcast is an opportunity for me to bring in the creators, not only from my magazine, the Turquoise Iris Journal, but also I ran into people sometimes. I run into people online and at workshops and in retreats, and I want to tell their story. I want to give them a platform to share what's in their heart and what motivates them to get creative. So that's what Paint Talks podcast is all about. I hope that you will hit the like and subscribe and follow along our journey. In between, you will still be capturing our my makeovers, my mindset chats, and anything else that I feel like would really be good for our subscribers. So I want to thank you. And I also want to introduce you to my dear friend, Karen Berg with Redoux. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited. Excited to be on this new journey of YouTube in addition to just audio.
It's pretty cool, right? And
I'm really honored.
in full transparency, this is Karen's fault.
Yeah, I'm good at that. I'm good at telling people you should do this and you should do this and you should do that.
Yeah. So for a year, I have been wanting to add my podcast to YouTube. Now that they have that availability, they have their own little section for it. And I know many of you will listen to podcasts on there and be watching this and would rather actually see the people's talk. I know for Matt, he watches a lot of podcasts and he's always on YouTube. But Karen texted me a few weeks ago and says, have you ever considered? And Karen is a big fan of YouTube. And if you are not following Redoux, I want her to, is it Redoux Interiors on YouTube, Karen?
Redoux Interiors. Yes.
Awesome. You will also be able to scroll down and look in the description. I'll put that link there for Karen as well, because she does some pretty fun, often entertaining, but highly educational, really informational videos. And so, yes, she's got a sense of humor. It is super fun. And another reason why I love you so much, because you make me laugh. But it was encouraging. And I thought, you know what, Karen, you're coming on the podcast. So let's just try this. Let's see how it goes. So full speed ahead. Karen is a curator for the Turquoise Iris Journal, which means that she writes and she contributes and she does beautiful imagery like this, which is fully engaging. And you can see her here. Our latest volume, our April volume, is out and being shipped to homes all over the world, actually. That's right, the whole world. We do ship internationally, 126 pages, but she's a curator. Aside from that, how do you describe yourself, Karen Berg? Like, you do a lot, but how do you describe yourself? And what I also like, what I want to roll into is what motivates you to create for YouTube and all of your video content that you do?
Let's see. How do I describe myself?
Yeah.
I would say I'm a multi-passionate creative because I love so many different mediums. So my number one love is upcycling old stuff. And I do this partly because I just find it so satisfying to find things on the curb or in the trash, or, something that somebody was going to get rid of and make it beautiful again. I just find that transformation, it never gets old for me. I also really enjoy doing it because I find that it really helps other people. I've so many customers and readers from my blog and followers on my YouTube channel over the years who have just shared what a difference it made for them, that they found that joy in rescuing something old or something that they had in their home or was their grandmother's. it's very satisfying to me. I've always been one to try to make, I've just loved since I was a little girl. I always made things with my hands, and I often usually made things that with stuff I could find. There was no craft store we went to that,
Right.
yeah, there was no paint
Yeah,
supply store. I had to use what I could get my hands on. You know,
absolutely. And
whatever.
your mom was probably a lot like my mom. I call like my mom the original DIYer because that's just what you did. And
That's what you did.
also, I came from a world where if you could fix it, then go fix it. Or if you could make it better, go make it better. It wasn't that you hired somebody or something like that.
Nope.
Part of it was the challenge. And Karen, I always tell everybody, Karen and I go way back because I started following her years ago on her blog, Redoux, and I just related to her in that budget friendly was the life I was living, and so was she,
Oh,
and she was literally dumpster diving, and that was kind of like this thing that kind of, encompassed you. Is she'll go even literally dive in a dumpster, and you did that a few times, didn't you? Got
more than a few times. I thought, just when I think I'm not doing that ever again, just yesterday, I had to run an errand. Okay, so things just materialized in front of me. There was a chair just sitting in the parking lot when I went to the UPS store to ship an order, just sitting there.
just a random chair.
A random chair. It was a really beautiful chair. Somebody I have no idea why it was just
How
sitting.
did it get there?
I don't know. It's weird. Like, why would it anyhow? So those things happen to me all the time. So then I thought, you know what? This is me. I deserve a little treat. I'm going to go cruise my favorite little apartment complex dumpsters. It just sounds so funny, but for me, it's like my little me time. Usually there's not much in there, but there was a bunch of stuff, and I I ripped open. I could tell there was like some like house goods and things inside of some big trash bags. So I just started ripping them open, pulling stuff out.
The trash bags?
The trash bags. Yep, I could. I've learned long enough to know, like, is this garbage, or is
Yeah.
this somebody like dump all their like things that they probably should have donated into these trash bags? You can just sort of. Yeah, it's really gross. I know it's really.
No, but you're so brave. And let me just also tell everybody, Karen, whereabouts do you live? Also, that kind of helps because you're in a really nice area.
I am. I'm in right. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I live inland. Um, and there are some, like, people can afford to get rid of things here that are still decent. I'll put it that way. But I also have a habit of going to not great part of, I haven't done this in a long time. Well, I can't say that I did it this summer, to not great parts of town, because sometimes there will be just, someone that just moves out and leaves everything there, and maybe the owner or new owner or contractor will take everything out of the house and put it in the driveway, and they're going to load up a dumpster. That's where I come in. My garage is very full with things from a situation just like that. So I try not to make a habit of it, because it cannot be terribly safe. Sometimes I only go during daylight hours. But yes, for the most part, my things come from very safe neighborhoods where people, they have that option. If they don't
Sure.
want something, they just get rid of it and they
Sure.
can buy something new. So
Absolutely. And I think that what you're doing is what some people are also doing. It's very relatable. I mean, I would be surprised if there was someone listening that hasn't actually picked up something from somebody else's trash pile. I mean,
yes,
I've
we've
pulled
all done
furniture into my
it.
car, gone back, like, hurry, we got to get back. Like,
Yep.
dropped the kids off and said, honey, I'll be right back. I've got to get, there's two pieces. So I had to make two trips. I
Yep.
mean,
Yep. We've all done it. We've all
yeah,
done it.
we've all done it. And I think that that's very relatable, especially when we love a challenge. And when you know at your core, I can
Yeah.
make that so pretty. Like,
Yes.
I can fix that. It's like there's this challenge, and if it's free, you've got nothing to lose other than time. You got
Yeah.
nothing to lose.
Yes. There's been a few times where I was like, was this worth it? Like, I remember this one dresser, it turned out, I did such cool things with it. But at the end of the day, I was like, there's more staples and glue than this thing, than nails, than anything. So I've become more discerning. I check, the quality of the construction, like what,
Yeah.
and sometimes if I don't know, I'll even like like go on Pinterest and see what has someone else done with something like this. And if I can't find any inspiration, it stays. So I've learned
Good
through
call.
trial and error what to bring home, what not to bring home. So
Good call. And
yeah,
I usually have Matt do my more substantial repairs if it's not just like a sanding. And I learned also what his limits were on what I brought home, on what he would be willing to repair. And that was also a few discussions that we had to have together.
yes, because it can be really I'm deep into a dresser right now that is just so beautiful, but it is damaged. So I found this on Facebook Marketplace. So the one that I wanted, this woman was liquidating her mother's home who had passed. The one that I wanted, someone had bought it, but she said, I have two other pieces that are really in bad
Mm,
condition. Do you want to come
mhm.
and see them? So of course I did. They were in bad condition. Like the structurally sound, but the veneer was peeling off all over it. And
Oh,
so
that's hard.
I've put a lot of effort into it, but I really feel like it's probably like a quarter bondo now. you know? But I know when it's like they just don't make furniture like that. If you did find something like that, it would cost you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It's just the wood carving on it. It's just so beautiful. So I will be excited. That'll be my next YouTube video, and I will be excited
Oh,
to share it. But it has been a learning process to where I point I thought this was probably a little too much, but it'll make a good story, and
it'll
hopefully it'll
make a good
inspire.
story and a very good video. And there will definitely be your audience that will learn from that. Um, you know how to do a lot of things. You've been in this creative DIY world for a long time, and I mean, you've DIY'd your home, your furniture, like you've done a lot of different things. And as of late, you put out a furniture paint and excuse me, a cabinet course, and you're also helping people literally make over their own kitchens, which is really huge. And your course launched just a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it's probably been about 4 6 weeks now. So when my children were all still at home, I did a lot of furniture upcycling, and I realized I started getting lots of questions from people if I would do their kitchen cabinets. Now, I really didn't feel comfortable doing that
Yeah.
for a while because it is a completely different thing. It's not like you can move the piece of furniture around. It's attached to your home. So you've got to it's got to be, as in they say in the cabinet world, it's got to be tight. It's got to be perfect. Like you cannot afford to have little flaws, and it has to look
Absolutely.
uniform. If you're doing some kind of a faux like fancy age glazing, it's got to look the same everywhere.
Hmm.
So I took myself to there was happened to be a class nearby that I took myself to, and it was a 3-day course taught by a professional cabinet painter and faux finisher.
Oh, nice.
Um, it was really intensive. It was just me. I learned
Oh,
everything.
wow.
It was just me. I got lucky because she had it open to about 5 people, and it just so happened that I was the only one there that weekend. But it was really intense. But I learned so much. I learned pricing. I learned contracts. I learned different finishes. I learned like the tools you need to do this the right way, how a professional painter would go about this. So it opened a whole new world for me. And for years, I painted people's cabinets.
Yeah.
And it could be a lot of work, but it was very lucrative because I charged quite a bit for it, less than a professional painter, but a lot more than I would for pieces of furniture.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's a great way though for people, that are I know for you, it was just great because the kids were home and while they went to school, you would go over there and you would do those kind of things. So it's a great way, and then you filed all of this away in your memory and created courses
yeah,
and all the tips, and so that course is available on your website, of course.
it
Um,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to do that anymore. I'm
Mm,
55. It's very physically challenging to keep doing them week after week. But I had people asking me still all the time. So I just thought, why not teach people to do this themselves? If you can set aside a weekend or a few days,
yeah.
it's not, and it's only your kitchen. It's not so hard. But there are so many things that could be avoided. People have tried it and they hate the way it turns out. And they say, I wish that I had known, so it was such a perfect way for me to help other people transform their homes and their kitchens, but not me having to be there doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think we all have jobs like that where we do them for a while we need to do them.
Right.
And when we get an exit or when we become the professional or the expert, we turn back around and say, "Hey, like you took a class, so now you're turning back around and saying I can help you." So
Yes.
I'm really glad that you have that course available. I know that just from a business side of it, putting it all together, and I was along on that journey with you. But the celebration of getting it done and launched, that was big. That was a big old happy dance.
Big. It was big. I did a lot of happy dancing around my house once it was there was times, and you know this, where I thought, I'm gonna fry my nervous system.
Mhm.
This is the
Oh, yeah.
scariest thing I've ever done is I felt really good about what I put together, but putting it out in the world and asking people to pay for it was a whole new thing. But now that I've done it, I'm like, okay, what am I doing next? You know, the
Absolutely.
feedback from people has been so rewarding, so rewarding.
Oh, I think it'll be really a big exclamation point, excuse me, when you see someone's kitchen, Karen, where they
Yeah,
watch your course and they send you the photo and they're like, "Thank you,"
yeah,
because everybody coming into my home, there's probably a lot of people right now that are thinking, "If I buy it now, I can get it done before Christmas because the holidays are coming." But of course, they're going to come. But it's the time, you guys. It's the time right now, like to start buying it, watching it, gathering your supplies. But I'm so proud of you for doing that. And it's just one of the many ways where you are kind of turning back around and serving your community and teaching and educating, which is kind of what the journal is. It's what your blog is. It's why you do your workshops and the things that you do. Um, at our latest retreat, let's shift gears into Indiana, because I had my Empowering Creativity retreat, and because you're a curator, I went to all of you and said, kind of want you to step into this breakout session as a leader and talk about these particular subjects for our guests. So it was a time where it was kind of chilling out. We were eating and everything was kind of quiet, and then I just Karen, come on and can you just kind of take us through that a little bit? You don't have a problem with public speaking, but anytime it's a little bit different, it's a different audience, it can feel a little bit intimidating, right?
absolutely. I think, and in my religion, we've been doing it for since we were little kids. It's very encouraged to speak, but it's still speaking in front of people that you do not know. It's intimidating. It's you had. I think the key for me and what I always do before I teach, before I speak, I always think about and pray, who can I touch? Who can I connect with? Even if it's just one person who takes something away from this, that it made their life better, it landed on them, it impacted them, then I know it was a success. Because
Mm,
sometimes it might wash over everybody, but there's one
mhm,
person in the room who really needs to hear what you have to say.
mm.
And it makes an impact and it changes something for them for the better.
So that
And
really kind of takes the focus off of you and adds
yes,
it to your audience, right? Like, who is
yes.
this about? It's never about you, is it?
Mm-mm,
Mm,
no. And that's what I have to remember. It's like if I'm in my head and worried about how am I coming across? Am I entertaining? Am I interesting? Is this worth sharing? I'm not thinking about what my purpose is and why I'm there speaking. And I'm not thinking about who needs to hear what I have to say, which
yeah.
might in itself sound a little self-important, but the truth is we all have something to share with other people. We all have something
Yes.
inside of us to share. And so when you get an opportunity to be on stage or to be in front of a group of people, what is it that you have your message that can help somebody else? That's what I try to think about. What
Yeah.
is my message?
Yes. And you said, absolutely, Dionne, I will do that. I will stand up and I will speak. And we kind of talked about a particular subject. Do you mind sharing that a little bit about what you spoke at the retreat on that day with our listeners?
I would love to. So I went through kind of a big life change in terms of work. So I had worked behind the scenes for many years, and I had an incredible opportunity to work as the retail director for DIY Paint.
Mhm.
Um, but I found that doing that job really well um, prevented me from like fully stepping into who I wanted to be as an artist and creative. I felt like I was constantly straddling two worlds and I couldn't do justice to either of them.
Mm.
So I had the weirdest thing happen to me last summer. I had you were coming with a film crew to film a
Yeah.
pilot for Made TV,
Yes.
and before all that happened, I had my back went out to the point where I could barely move. And then it spread to my neck, and then my arms, and then my hands. And then if that wasn't enough, I got a double ear infection, so I couldn't hear. It was the middle of summer. I wasn't sick. Like who knows what caused it? It was just a very weird few weeks. But I could do nothing but lay there and just think.
Yeah.
And I am not good at being still for very long. And this was a massive lesson to me that I need to be still so I can hear what my purpose is, what I am supposed to do. And
Mm.
what really came through was
Mhm.
that it was time for me to move on and give that job to somebody else who could take things to the next level. And I needed to fully step into my creativity, which I had kind of put on the back burner for many years. It had always stayed there, but it was not my number one and my front and center. I'm an empty nester with my husband. We don't have the day to day that we have to worry about children and teenagers anymore.
Yeah.
My life looks very different, and I have the luxury of putting, I work really hard, but I have choices with what I'm doing with my time now.
Yeah.
And so what really came through was I really need to lean into this. And the fact that this camera crew was coming to my home to talk about this,
Mhm.
if that is not a sign and an answer, I don't know what. Like I was hit over the head. And really where I landed was I don't want to waste time. I wake up,
Mm.
I'm pretty passionate. I wake up pretty happy every morning.
Mhm.
I don't look at things as a burden. I look as, for the most part, I get to do, I have choices. Even the
Yeah.
hard things that we all have to do,
It's good.
I feel like I get to. And I really leaned into what do I want to do with my time now? Because I don't know how much time I have left here on this earth, and I don't want to waste it. I don't know how many people I can impact if I don't try, if I don't share.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
it's that stepping into your own voice that's been there, but so many times we let someone else step in front, or we let someone else speak louder, or we get quiet. And there is a time and a place for that as well. But you were really feeling this, if not now, when statement that is becoming more and more. And we need to get loud with that, right? So
yes,
you were really feeling that.
yes,
And
it really was.
and that was your experience. We show up with the film crew, and let me all add how that went. This girl just, like, lit up like she's been born on camera, and, I mean, she was having fun. She was like, "Oh, this and that, and whatever you wanna do," and just, she wasn't ready for it to end, were you? Like, you weren't
No,
ready for it to
I'm
end?
like, we could have stayed another 5 days. That was fun, and it helped that that camera crew, they are a fun group of people. They
Yeah,
make you feel very comfortable.
yeah.
But I thought this was just it was like, people joke that, like, I am always like, I think I told you my great-grandmother called me good time Charlie. Life is always, "What's my next adventure?" To me, it was just
Love it.
like a huge adventure, but they made it fun. It was something new, and it was just delightful. I got to hang out with you. I got to meet some new interesting people, the camera crew and Jen, the producer. But it was fun. I just thought I want more of this.
Right,
This
you want more
was
of
fun.
that. And
Yes.
so when you were standing up in Indiana and you were standing up in front of everybody, what was your main message that you wanted to deliver? So the women would walk away from the retreat thinking, "This is Karen Berg, and here was her message." What was that message to them, Karen?
My overall message was I want them to get really clear on what their gifts are and to
Mhm,
use them, to stop wasting time. Like, we
mhm,
all waste a lot of time playing small. let's just face it. We all do it. It's like we have to untrain ourselves from keeping our voices quiet and our talents hidden, and putting it is important as someone. I like to give back, but I think we give back sometimes to the point where we put our needs last, and that's not serving anybody, because we have gifts we have to share. And speaking to these women, I really wanted them to walk away understanding they have limited time, and they have a message, and they have gifts that only they have, and to stop wasting time, stop minimizing it, stop filling your days with things
Mm.
that don't really matter, too much
Yeah.
scrolling on, online, or tasks that aren't really lighting you up. Don't waste time. Even if you only have 15 minutes a day to do something, because life circumstances are not giving you those choices.
Sure.
We all have some pockets of time where we can step into who we are. And I just felt like I'm not wasting time anymore, and I don't want anybody else to do it either.
I love that. Thank you. And you received some really wonderful feedback from the ladies that took the courage to come up to you and thank you for that, right?
I really did. And that was, I'm going to get a little emotional. That was what my prayer was. That was my purpose. There was just such an incredible group of women there. And I felt what was really interesting too is I don't think there was anyone in there other than Cami, who was maybe under 45. I think everybody was at a certain point in life. Maybe if they had children, they were mostly grown. We all were at a stage of life where it was like, okay, what is next? I feel like I have things to give and things to offer. And some of these women know their purpose, and some
Mhm.
women there, I think, are still figuring that out.
Mhm.
But hearing that from people that it inspired them, it landed with them, like, in their heart. They felt like, okay, I need to do more of what brings me joy, because when we're in our joy, it's contagious and it spreads to other people. It's not selfish, it's giving, because
Oh,
this world needs more joy.
needs more joy. And like me doing this podcast, Karen, I have collected so many stories that when I'm in a critical moment or I'm dealing with a customer or something, I can pull from so many stories that give me strength and the wisdom that was shared. And it's like, thank you for being courageous for sharing that, because I know I'm going to need that later to further my mindset or to further my education on what I needed to know and broaden my connections and deepen my creativity. And it's just all of those verb that we need, that we gather when we hear other people's stories. That's why you listen to podcasts. That's why
Yeah,
you want to, that's why we do a magazine and we share what's in our heart, because it is our number one thing we can do for each other
yeah,
is to share,
yes,
open up and connect. And
yeah.
so you hear that different analogies, but you're really stepping into it and you saying that, that you are 55 and you you feel like you're just getting started? Because I think you're just getting started. Like you
I
just got like
do.
this whole new momentum of like, all right, that was phase one, that's phase two, but this is the new addition. Yeah,
I
you like that?
Funny you say that, because I really do. I was a very hands-on mom. Like, I would, like, my mother would joke that, like, when I have twins, and I made, like, when they would go down for naps, like, I would, like, hurry and maximize my time and paint as long as I could and do as much as I could. But when they were around, I was around. I did, I wanted to be hands-on, but they have my kids have their own lives now. And I and we are at a stage where we're a little more comfortable in some areas. So I feel like this is my season. I get to step into things that I have put on the back burner. And now I have this wonderful gift and blessing of time to do things I have longed to do. And I do. I felt like at the beginning of this year, when I wrapped everything up as behind the scenes with DIY paint, I felt like, okay, I'm like throwing my French doors open, and the sunshine is coming in, and I'm stepping out. Oh no,
Now,
here I
I would
come.
I know you well enough to know that was that day, but then the next day it could have been like, did I do that?
It poured rain.
Wait, did I seriously just do that? What was I thinking?
I
Like,
know, but
we
they
do
said
that. We do
a
that. All of
lot.
us do that.
And that's just it. Like a lot, because we had conversations about this. And like, what did I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but what was I thinking? Like, I knew this was going to be scary and hard. I didn't anticipate feeling as scared as I did. And I don't know what I was scared about. I think the number one thing I was the most scared about is putting myself out there on the line. Just doing something so
Right.
different, putting that course out there and asking people to buy it. And it wasn't
Yeah.
even, it's very affordable. It was a new thing. I worked
Mhm.
so hard on it. I put my heart and soul into it,
Yeah.
and it was unknown. But I knew at the end of the day, if no one bought it, I knew my friends would, but if nobody bought it, I could feel good knowing I did it.
Yeah.
I had a big epiphany during that whole, my back, my ear infection, all of it, couldn't hear. I don't want to be at the end of my life and have regrets. I don't want to be looking back and thinking, I wish I had tried this. I wish I had done that. If only I had, I don't want to of course, there's always going to be things that we don't get to do everything we want to do.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to not have regrets of things that were, and we all have things that weigh on our soul of what we know we're being called to do. We know this. We just have gotten really good, I think, a lot of us, at silencing it, shushing it, pushing it to the back.
Pushing
I
it to
don't,
the back for various reasons. Sometimes it's
yeah,
different reasons for everybody has their own reasons, but underqualifying ourselves or allowing it to be someone else's. Well, she could do that, but that's definitely not for me. But inside, it's like that growing turmoil that builds, and then there's this anxiety that builds, and it's like this pulling of like
yeah,
your heart saying, "Go, girl," and then this other your mind going, I can't." And at some point, when there's that beautiful union, that's where the magic happens, and that's where we can start your new edition. Karen
yes,
Berg, new edition, Dionne Woods, new edition.
yes,
And we feel that way. And so you're on, Team Turquoise, where we are cheering for each other. We are always lifting each other up. You've kind of stepped into this leadership role which is what you've always been in your church and in your community. But now you're on with my team too, and it's our team. And we have this thing where we stomp for each other. We talk about stomping, and as silly as the concept is, and if someone's listening and they say, you actually stomp for each other. Yeah,
yeah, we do. It's important.
we do. We make it noisy and we make it loud and we cheer for each other's names and we do things that as adults we don't typically see or feel anymore that we may have received as a child. Maybe you're not on a team anymore and you didn't just kick a goal, but
Right.
you can be 55 years old and have someone saying, "Give me a K, give me an A," and cheering for you. And
Yeah.
that's something I'm not seeing anywhere else. So if we can't find it, by God, we got to create it, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. We
Yeah.
have to create it. There are not, we don't celebrate enough small moments in our lives, and we
Mhm.
need to be doing that. Life is hard and challenging. And for some people, it's probably way more than your average person. But there's little wins and little
Yeah.
celebrations, and surrounding yourself with a group of people who can celebrate with you for your big and small wins. It's important. It's important to you. And it's important to those people too. We all need to celebrate together. It helps lift us. And I
It
feel
does, it's contagious. It is
like
absolutely
contagious.
contagious, and I am just so curious. I want you to make sure you tell everybody kind of like, because 'cause you've got plans, like 2024, you've got plans 2025. Is there anything you can share with us that you wanna say, "Here's what I'm working on"? You feel vulnerable enough to share?
I am working on, so for years I've taught in-person workshops. I kind of had to put that on the back burner after I sold my half of my store. So this area around me here is in-person workshop central. So actually today, one of my jobs is to get that on the calendar. I have a group of ladies that are really, I've had friends over to do things, but a group of ladies who are really interested. So I really want to dig into that and hopefully grow that perhaps next year I might be doing some kind of interesting event with a couple other Bay Area artists. Um,
Wonderful.
yes, that we will, that are very accomplished in their own rights, but I would love to have some kind of a creative gathering on a bigger scale. I
Can
would
I
love
come? Can I
you.
come?
That's the thing. You are a busy lady, so I'm going to have to check your schedule before we plan because you better be there.
It's California. I like you.
2025 is filling up.
Yeah, yeah. I like your weather though. I mean, I really like your weather.
We like, I know, I am, my family's, that's funny because like I'm the only one left. My family on my mom's side has been here since the turn of the 20th century.
Wow.
And at some point we might leave too. And I'm like, we have to just find a way to keep our house here because somebody's got to. It's so nice. Like I spent a lot of time in the Rocky Mountains. That's where a lot of my family is. But what I
Mhm.
just come home and like, I am
Yeah,
home.
it's good.
We
It
don't
is
have
good.
bugs. We have, really good weather year round. We could be in the mountains. We could be at the ocean. We could, yeah, it's very wonderful.
Yeah,
So I
it
would
is.
love to invite other people to come enjoy that as well.
Well,
Yes.
I look forward to that event that you're going to be hosting. I can see that it would come together, especially now that you are a maker on Made TV Network. You've been able to connect with some other people,
Yeah.
and there's some chatter about potentially writing a book next year too.
Yes, I have that as well. So we have the opportunity as makers on Made TV to pitch a book to Schiffer Craft. And I was selected to move forward, which was, as a blogger, it's been one of my longtime dreams. I love to write a book. And I just, again, put that on the back burner. I don't know how that's going to work. And Made TV presented this opportunity, and I thought, if not now, never. When we're going to get this audience like this with a New York publishing house? So you and I, we practiced and practiced and practiced, and I mean, amazingly enough, we were both selected.
Mhm.
So that is in the works. They have all of our information. I got some nice feedback, and I know that it'll be a slow process, but it'll be worth the wait. I like to create more online courses. I found that to be extremely rewarding and just one more way that I can help people.
Awesome. That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
I have a lot of things. I really would love to have pitch a pilot series on May TV. So
Mhm.
that's up here still. I have to. I'm kind of letting it simmer a little bit, but like you said, I had so much fun with that. I thought I want more of that. That to
Yeah.
me lit me up.
And you're already over the biggest obstacle, and that's getting comfortable on camera. And that is, I think, a really big obstacle for a lot of people, even if they do have a message that they want to deliver. Getting in front of the camera is so challenging in so many different ways. But your YouTube channel, you started it how many years ago, Karen Berg?
Oh,
Like,
my first YouTube was done on a flip, one of those flip it was called like a flicker or flip. I don't even remember. I just remember it was white and it looked like those digital thermometers look now, it's like a handle and had like a screen like this big and you held it up and it took like 6 hours to upload it to YouTube. And so like
I
that's
don't
how
think
long ago that was before
that
there
sounds,
was a smartphone. That's how long ago
yeah.
it was.
Wow. Well, so you've been doing that for a long time, and now how many subscribers do you have on your YouTube channel? Do you know?
Oh, yeah, I want to say about 4,500 now. So I would love to grow that more. Like with other creative projects, I was looking to see if I could see it's. I let it languish. I would do one, I get all excited, and then I would just not be consistent with it. So if
Yeah,
it's
but
consistency is key.
I
It is.
know, yeah, consistency is key, but I noticed that when you said 4,500, you you felt like it should be more, and then
Oh
you okay, but I want you to think about what 4,500 people looks like in a coliseum or in a stadium.
Oh, that's true. You know
Okay,
what? Yeah,
all
that's
of those people have clicked like and want to subscribe and learn from you. So
yes.
4,500 people, holy cow, that's phenomenal.
Oh. And I was very fortunate to be part of a playlist with the new DIY cottage colors. So that video was very well received. I
Wonderful.
got a lot of great feedback from that. So Yeah, my goal is to be consistent in getting them out regularly. I'm pretty comfortable with editing and filming now. It's just making it's all about being organized with my time and making sure those get out. So my next one will be this dresser that has been extremely challenging, but I have a vision in my head of where I'm going with it. And
Can't wait to see it.
I feel like it's one of those wonderful stories of redemption. Like, here we started with this thing that was going to go to the trash. It meant so much to this woman that I did something with it. She was like, please send me the pictures when you finish it. I would be so sad if it got thrown away, because it was, it was her mother's and she had it her entire life. So yeah, so I feel like it's really important to tell that story, and I want to inspire other people to, to think of their things too, that it's possible. It's possible to redeem things.
And I know there are a lot of people shaking their head that are saying, I also love older things. I love used things. I love restoring. And so this, Redo is for you on Instagram. She's on Facebook and YouTube. Also, probably 90% of the makers that we bring on to Paint Talks podcast has to do with people that are creating something beautiful from something that has been either forgotten or used to be loved. And we just want to, people will ridicule us for painting furniture. They've been doing that for years. And we're like, don't you know we love furniture? Like, we're lovers. Like
Yes.
we are obsessed with it. And that's
Yes.
why it's not, we're not destroying it. We're actually giving it love that it really, really deserves.
Yes.
And Karen,
Sometimes that stuff does get thrown away.
It does.
Pushed to the side of someone's house, and then it's so, weather damaged that it has to be thrown away. We're giving it a second chance at life.
Yeah.
That's this piece. It can't be stained and restored all over, because I've had to remove so much veneer and patch it up. But it's going to have a new life for a long time. Like, it's solid. It's going to, and otherwise it would have gone into the trash.
It's a new addition.
Yeah.
It's a new addition, Karen Berg. It's a new addition. So I think on that note, I will wrap up this conversation, my friend. But I want to tell you one thing. I am so honored and so grateful that you are moving forward and growing and just being an example for me. You've gone through some things that I haven't. You're a friend. You are a friend to our community, a resource, a business resource, a guide, so many other things. And I just want to thank you for that. I really, really appreciate you always saying, sure, Dionne, that sounds cool. I'll do that. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I always feel like you don't want to disappoint Dionne, because she's never going to disappoint us. So,
Oh, well.
No, but if you're asking, then I know it's going to be something really good. That it's going to be something really good. So I don't want to say no, because I know, like, if Dionne's asking, then there's something really good on the other side of this.
Thank you. I hope so. Most of the time I hope so. And you're my guinea pig today. So if you're just, fast forwarded, let's say you've skipped to the end. I don't know what people do. But I just want you to know that my podcast has been out. This is episode 167 today. Karen Berg. Yes. And Karen has actually been on the podcast before. And you can listen to all of those where podcasts are listened to, on Spotify and on various platforms. But Karen made the suggestion that I take this up to YouTube. And since I've had a YouTube channel for 8 years, why not put our podcast on here as well? So we were just kind of filling things out. What does it look like behind me? Has the background okay? But I will, of course, still be uploading makeovers and mindset discussions and things just that are coming straight from my heart. But this is pretty fun to have this new thing that we're trying out. So thanks for being on this journey with us, everybody. Thank you to my friend Karen Berg. And you guys stay tuned. I'm gonna do this again.
Yay! I can't wait to see the next one.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next time. Thank you, Karen Berg. I love you.
Thank you. I love you.